Hello, and welcome to the Basic HTML tutorial by C. Scott Dev. As you can see here, HTML is the standard markup language for all of the web. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. This tutorial is aimed at absolute beginners and will go over the most basic parts of HTML tags. And to do that, we're going to create a very simple web page using just a text editor and a browser. By the end of this video, you'll have a basic understanding of HTML, which you can build on quite easily. To get started, we'll need a text editor. You can use whichever text editor you like, but I recommend Visual Studio Code, or VS Code for short, and we'll be using it throughout this video in the entire course. If you want to download VS Code, you can either type in this address or follow the link in the description. Once you have it downloaded and installed, it's time to get started. Create a new folder on your desktop and let's call it Learning HTML. Oops. Now let's jump over into VS Code, or whichever text editor you've selected. And let's open up that folder we just created. Now we're inside of the folder. The first thing we'll do is create a file called index.html. Keep in mind that that extension, HTML, matters. If you create a text file, it will not work in the browser. It should be called either HTM or HTML. Notice how the icon changes. Now that we've opened up the file, let's create some basic HTML. HTML is made up of tags, which tell the browser what to do. The main tag for HTML is, of course, HTML. Everything inside of HTML goes inside this tag. There are two other main tags called head and body. Now, the head tag is for displaying data that is typically not displayed inside the web page, but is used for things like metadata, title, that sort of thing. Everything that does get displayed on the web page goes inside of the body tag. To set the title for the web page, we want to jump inside of the head tag and type in title. Let's title it Hello World. Note that each tag is made up of a beginning bracket, the tag itself, and then the end bracket. And then it's mirrored over here by an end tag, which is indicated by a slash. Not all HTML tags follow this pattern. There are a few which don't, but by and large, this is the general pattern for all tags. Now let's go open this up in the browser, but before we can do that, we have to save it. You can either hit Control S in Windows or Command S on Mac, or in either case, go up to File, Save. You can get to this file a number of different ways, but the easiest is just to jump over to the Learning HTML folder and opening it from there. It might not look like much, but here's our title we created, and we have a blank web page. Now that we have our title tag working, let's jump over into the body tag and start making some things show up down in the browser where we can see them. Note that I put my browser and my editor side by side so that it's easier to see changes as we make them. Let's shrink our browser a little bit so we can also see our folder when we need to see that. The first tag we're going to try out is the paragraph tag. Anytime you're using text, it's generally going to be inside of a paragraph tag. Paragraphs are indicated with a P, like so. Okay, let's save that by hitting Control or Command S on your keyboard. And let's go over here and refresh the page. There's our first paragraph. Now let's try making something bold. There are two ways to do that. First, let's make another paragraph, and we'll try out the strong tag. We'll also create something using the bold tag. Let's save and refresh. Note that strong and bold look pretty much the same, and there's no real difference. Next, let's try some italic text. Just like bold and strong, there are two tags to accomplish this. One is the EM tag for emphasized text. Oops. And the other one is the I tag, which stands for italic text. Let's save that and go refresh our browser. Note that both emphasized text and italic text appear the same way. There's virtually no difference. Next, let's try underlining our text. To do that, we use the U tag. Let's save again and refresh our browser. To create headers, we use H tags. H tags are followed by a number, 1 through 6. Let's create an H1 tag, which is the biggest. Let's save and reload in the browser. Let's try the rest of the header tags. Let's save and view that in the browser as well. Note that the sizes shrink as the number goes up. Next, let's insert an image into the page. You could create your own image if you know how to do that, but for our purposes, we're going to download an image. I like to get images from Unsplash.com. Since it's currently October, I'm going to look for fall leaves. Let's just go with this one. We click on it and we download it. Let's drag it from here into our folder. Now that it's in our folder, open up the folder and let's rename it to fallleaves.jpg. Let's go back into our text editor and create our image tag. Image tags are indicated with an IMG. And to point to where the actual source of the image is, we use the src property. VS Code is going to tell you what files are local to the index.html or whatever file you're in. So we can just click here to point to the local file. Image tags are self-closing, which means we don't need a second tag afterward to close it. Let's hit save and see how it shows up on our page. Refresh. Whoa, the image is huge. Let's change the width so that it takes up 100% of our page. Let's hit save again and refresh. That's better. The last tag we'll talk about is the breaking tag. And what the breaking tag lets us do is simply carry text onto the next line. Let's go up to the first paragraph and input a few breaking tags so we can see how this works. Let's save and see what we get. Note that the first paragraph gets broken up into multiple line endings. That about does it for this tutorial. We'll cover a lot more in the rest of the course, but now that you've got the hang of the way HTML and all web pages are structured, we've got something to build on. So there you have it. The bad news is that this web page exists only on your computer. To put it on the internet for everyone to see, you'd have to upload it to a web host. A host I've had great luck with is DreamHost. And you can find other host recommendations in the description. If you're interested in learning more about HTML and diving deeper, Please watch the rest of the videos in this course. Thanks, and see you in the next one.